listeners and viewers, to another week at Education, the Teacher's Docu-Terror podcast, where myself, Mike,
and myself, Courtney,
are back again with a pre-Christmas recording of a holiday festival type of film. Something that makes you lift your spirits and make you feel real good about yourself. We're here this week. Yeah. We're here this week to talk about the 2023 Argentine horror movie, When Evil Lurks, a movie that I kept confusing the title of when I was telling you what it was. When Evil Dwells. You're like, I can't find that film. It's because it doesn't exist. So, When Evil Lurks. Kind of a interesting title, really, because like the whole when, there's like, but it's like time doesn't really matter. It's just, it's a different name, but it doesn't really matter because by and large, it's just a mean-spirited film.
Agreed.
Not like a Terrifier or Terrifier 2, which is just brutal and mean for no purpose at all. This is just mean in one of those areas where you've got your protagonists and they're just not going to win. And that's, and I think part of that with this being a movie from Argentina, because it's not a Hollywood film. And Hollywood films always have a Hollywood ending. Somebody's got, there's got to be a final girl. Evil succumbs to the good. And like in this movie, it's like, nope. There's nothing you can do to stop this entity. So, all right. So did you feel, and I kind of mentioned it when I was kind of giving you a little bit of heads up, that this movie is set in a universe where what we're watching is somewhat of a common occurrence.
Yeah, and definitely after you had given me that, just so I wouldn't have been confused, like I definitely was like, oh yeah, like easily. Yeah. But it's also like, well, had I not known this, like I probably wouldn't have thought it was easy to catch on to.
Yeah, like I said, because I watched it before you, and so I found it not confusing because the story was easy to follow, right. But just like the surrounding like aura of what's going on, it's like these people aren't really like, they're shaken by it, but they're not. They're almost numb to it to a degree that the amount of body horror going on isn't like, it doesn't shock them the way that you think it would. And of course it's because as we go along we find out that this is something, this is not the first time this has happened.
No.
And so I as I was watching it too, got to thinking about it, like I feel in a way that this is not a metaphor for what I'm saying. I don't think the movie was purposefully being a metaphor for this, but it's almost like how, we as Americans have taken to like mass shootings of like, they suck and they're absolutely horrible when they happen.
Yeah.
But we can't stop them. Like they happen frequently enough that when you hear the news, you're like, oh, that sucks. And then you move on with your day until it's close enough that it affects you.
Yes. And that's, that's really good metaphor because that's true. It is.
And that's kind of how I felt the people of like the characters in this film were. That it's like, it's something to fear, but it's not close enough that I should be afraid yet. So it's just bad news. And so movie kicks off with it's evening. We got two brothers, Pedro and Jamie, who it really doesn't matter which is which. I think Pedro's our main character, and Jamie's
Pedro's the crazy one, and I only remember that because our dog Pedro is crazy.
Oh, fair enough. And so they hear gunshots like out in the woods, but it's night, like dark. And so they're having a conversation about somebody out hunting. It's probably Ruiz, and I'm like, well, no, that's not hunting. Like those shots were too close together, too rapid fire. So they're like, we'll go check it out in the morning, but this Ruiz character they're talking about is like the guy, like the landlord, but not the landlord of the house, but just like the guy that owns the land that they live on.
Yeah.
And so they go check it out the next morning. They take their dogs out and they come across a body of a man that's like ripped in half.
Yeah, like they even question if like coyotes got or a
Yeah.
mountain lion or something got
Yeah.
to it because half of it's just gone.
Yeah, it's like it's like the scene in the Wizard of Oz where the monkeys tear apart the scarecrow. It's like there's a little bit of him over there, and there's some more of him over there. It was unintentionally comical as these two guys are standing over this half body. Like, I mean, his guts and intestines are laying all over the place. And they have their dogs with them, and as they're having conversations, the dogs, of course, are being dogs, and they're up in them guts, like, and they just kind of keep like shooing the dog away from wanting to eat the insides of this person, not because they're demonic dogs, but just because it's raw meat laying there and they're dogs. And so, but they do discover like a case, like a briefcase of instruments of some sort, not musical instruments, but like scientific or medical instruments or something. And Jamie had said, he couldn't place what it was, but he's like, I've seen something like this before. And so they go check out Maria Elena.
Yeah, because there's a copy of her like ID.
That's right.
Or whatnot in that case. So they're like, okay, this guy he knew her.
He's on his way to her place.
Yeah.
So, and she's another just kind of destitute woman with a small family living on, Ruiz's land. Mm-hmm. And so she goes there, and we find out that Uriel, your favorite person.
Spoiler alert, do not eat while watching this movie.
Especially early on. So Uriel, her oldest son, they're saying he's a rotten. And this is really where I started to think, as the first time watch, like, okay, like they've got a name for this. This is something that happens. Just like in The Walking Dead, the first time they see a zombie, they don't call them walkers, but eventually, because they're everywhere, they're so used to them, they start naming them. And so what a rotten is, and this is where we find out this movie's kind of supernatural, is a rotten is a person who is possessed by a demon, but not in like the Exorcist kind of way.
Yeah.
But like as like an incubation kind of chamber of this unborn demon is inside of you, and you now are like a living vessel until it births, until it becomes physically birthed. And so that's where Uriel's at, and boy, is he's a mess.
Yeah
You
could just smell him through the TV.
He was
like,
just boils and pussy, and it was gross, just like cheesy and oily. Just very, very disgusting to look at. Kudos to the actor, who really I thought was pretty great at just eye acting. Like he'd move it, like the only parts of his body he could really move were his eyes, and it worked out pretty well. We also come to find out that the corpse that they found was a cleaner that Maria Elena had called to the house to kill Uriel. The cleaner, I guess, being like a exorcist type, where they come to kill the human vessel so that the demon cannot be born, and therefore it'll kill it so it can't possess others. Because that's also kind of a weird kind of vibe we get with this movie, is the demon lives in someone, but their possession powers extend beyond that person. Like
it's very odd.
Because usually, in kind of folklore, the demon is, if it's in you, you're possessed. But in this case, it's almost like it has mental powers over the weak. And the weak in this tend to be like a lot of children, people, that are hurt or just mentally weak. So, where do Pedro and Jamie go after this?
So after this, they head into like the local police station, and they're just kind of like, we called the whatever, and
Cleaner.
and they're sending them, so it's off of our hands. So they head to Ruiz.
Yeah.
And this is where I don't want to say the movie kicks off, but this is where the moving of the demon has really started, because Ruiz is like mad at this family because he's like, you guys are dirty. I should have never let you be on my land. And he's convinced to either kill it or move it.
Yeah, if we just move it.
Yeah.
Like, get it off my land, it's not my problem.
So they try and move him.
Oh.
And this part is like the special effects and like the attention to detail that they did was so good, because they're carrying, and it takes both brothers and Ruiz to carry him out on a blanket, and he's like seeping through the blanket.
Yeah.
Like, just wow.
That's so gross.
Yeah. And that breaks, finally we get him in the bed of the truck.
I would have liked to see this scene, because they struggled to get him down the steps. I would have liked to seen how they hoisted him high to get him into the back of that truck.
Yeah.
But it's movies, so whatever.
Yeah. And then they drive out. They just start driving. And they almost hit this kid on a bike.
Uh-huh.
And when they get to their destination, they realize that Uriel is gone.
Yeah. That when they swerved to miss that kid, he must have fallen out of the back of the truck. Yeah. And there's still just like green snotty pus all over the place, and it was like a kid with a sinus infection, like that, like yellow greenish mucus, and it was pretty gross.
Yeah, it was really nasty. So they're like, well, you know what? He's gone.
Yeah. Rui's like, problem solved.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Let's head home. And Ruiz's wife, Gemina, is pregnant. And like, this Rotten has told him, like, I'm going to like take over the baby in her belly, So she comes in panicked because one of the ghosts she thinks is possessed. Well, she's correct.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to like shoot these things.
Yeah, like again, because they've established that there is a history of this, there's also rules, and that we're also kind of being introduced to the rules as we go. Yeah. And like you said, this rule is do not use firearms against the possessed, because basically it just makes the demon more mad.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to kill it. You'll kill the physical being, but you're just making it mad. So.
Yeah. And so he, as he shoots this goat, and Jimina's been warning him.
It's kind of a cool scene too, because he like, they scare he's holding the goat, like the possessed goat just walks up to the barrel of the shotgun and almost like just daring him, like, go ahead. And like, it was just a cool scene, because I'm assuming it was CGI. Obviously the shot was, but I'm like, just kind of a chilling scene to watch this animal walk up to its sacrifice.
Yeah. And so as he's got the gun to it, and it just goes boom, 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 because he's holding it, and you think for a minute, like, okay, he's not going to do it. But then the goat, like, scares him, I think. So then he pulls the trigger, and then just immediately Gemina just takes an axe to his face.
Yeah,
like
just right in the side of the head.
Mm-hmm. And then it turns to her, and she just kills herself.
Yeah.
Just repeatedly in the face with that axe.
Just chilling. Like, and what made this scene so tough is, I mentioned earlier with Hollywood, there's kind of you don't kill animals, you don't kill kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, we see the shotgun blast to the goat's head, like up close. So that's already like, oh, I thought you were going to cut away. Only then to see, like you said, Ruiz, like his reaction shot as he gets an axe buried in the side of his head. And we see it. There's no cutting away from it. There's no implying what happened. We see it. only, and then, like you said, to her to turn the axe on herself by turning the axe head to face herself and then hatcheting herself in the face. And we see it from like third person point of view. We're looking at her face as she's, and it's just like, oh man, like you're supposed to cut away from all this because we're Americans and we're not used to seeing this up close violence. And we talked, you know, we kind of mentioned Terrifier pre-show, that I feel like the violence in Terrifier, yes, it's extreme, but it's also like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That it doesn't, like, it's distasteful, but it's not realistic.
Yes.
But it's like watching this, it's like, there was no prime setup here. Like, yeah, a person could axe himself in the face. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's what made it hard to watch, is it looked realistic. Like, yeah, I'm sure your eye would do that if you caught yourself in the face with an axe. So yeah, Jamie and Pedro freak. They're at a point where let's just get out of town.
Yeah.
Like, let's get our, this is where we find Pedro was married and has a couple of kids.
He's got some mental health issues.
Yeah, he does. Like, he's distressed for sure. And his mom's still alive as well. So Jamie and Pedro are like, let's just get out of here. Like, we have no idea. They have no idea where Uriel went. Let's just escape. Let's just get out of here. So they split up. Jamie, go get mom. I'm going to go get my kids. And we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
Jamie has no problem. Jamie goes to get his mom, and she's, okay, let's do this. Pedro goes to his ex-wife's house, Sabrina. And of course, he's frantic. We know why, but to outsiders to these events, she and her husband are like, no, you gotta go. Like,
yeah, because if someone came to me and said, hey, there's a rotten in town, I'd be like,
yeah, give me my kids. Give me my kids.
No,
I'm out of here with my kids.
Especially when you have a restraining order against them.
Yeah, and they're like, nope, you're not supposed to be here. Like, they're playing by the rules. Yeah. And it's like, the rules don't apply anymore. You know, give me my kids. Gotta get out of here. And of course, we know that and I think it was the mom, it was the lady later on. Never mind. But we know that, like, there doesn't have to be physical proximity for these possessions.
Yeah.
The rotten just has to be around. And we know that animals are an easy possession because they're weak-minded, I guess, and kids as well. So this tension's building in this home. You know, Pedro is yelling at his ex-wife, yelling at her husband. You know, just like, just give me the kids. They have a daughter themselves. And they've got this large dog.
Yes.
And
very, very big dog.
And you, like, the pacing of this scene is such that it's like, almost immediately. Like, you see the daughter, you see the dog, and then they keep cutting back to the daughter and the dog.
And they're playing so nicely together.
Yeah, they just keep, and you just know, like, oh, that dog's gonna attack her. Like, the cuts were so well done that you're like, while there's fighting going on, we're no longer even paying attention to the fight.
Right. And because I feel like when Pedro walked in, the dog was like licking him and like,
oh yeah, that's right.
And they showed that, so it's like, okay,
I forgot about that
something
part.
A little mysterious, something's going on.
Yeah, because he still has on the clothes that he was handling Uriel with. So yeah, when the dog because did he come and get a change of clothes?
Yeah, because then he just started getting naked.
Yeah, that's right. He started
need clothes, and that's when the wife walked in, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
Right, and the dog came and kind of sniffed around the clothes, and so we're like, "That's where it happened."
But I mean, because Vicky's like spinning around circles.
Yeah,
the dog, she's
just
petting
being a kid.
It. Yeah.
We've got Santino is his youngest son, and is it Jair?
I think so.
And we find out more about him later. He's up in his bedroom, like, he's got special needs, and therefore is, requires much more maintenance than the other two kids. And so, yeah, the dog it just, and we see it again, like it's one that they would cut away.
Mm-hmm.
This dog just chomps on Vicky's head and like
Yeah.
ragdolls her around, like whipping her around. It's going on, and because the adults are fighting, nobody's reacting to it except
Mm-hmm.
Santino, who's watching all of this happen.
Yeah.
And so they find it, the dog takes off outside with her. And so, then there's a chase. Leonardo and Pedro are after the dog. Pedro was told Leonardo, do not shoot the dog.
Yeah. And what's Leonardo do?
Right.
Gets his gun.
So they split up, and then we hear gunshot. And just the look on Pedro's face of oh, it's worse now. You just can't escape it. So Pedro heads back to the house, because he's like, okay, I got to get the boys and get out of here. Sabrina's not going to stop me. Gets back, and Sabrina is there, and so is Vicky, and Vicky's happy again and just joyful, and says straight to Sabrina's face, like, Daddy's going to hit you with a truck, like Daddy's going to kill you
when Daddy gets home. Boom.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's like, and we're like, uh-oh. So Pedro sees all this, and he's like, he steals the car, grabs the boys. As he's pulling away, again, Sabrina is still just joyful that Vicky is fine, and we see Leonardo's truck just come barreling in. It just smashes into her against the house.
Yeah.
That they actually didn't show. Like, they didn't show that impact.
Yeah. But,
which was fine.
Exactly. But that Vicky's possessed, because as she was hugging her, she's now just off to the side, twirling around.
Yeah, she just got out of the way.
Yeah.
And so Pedro's got his boys and a car and goes to pick up Jamie and Mom. So take it from there.
So Jamie and Mom hop in the car, and they head to a former friend / we get the vibe of lover of Jamie, and she's a cleaner. Because he's like, I've seen this stuff before, like she's dealt with some of this. And so they end up staying overnight with her, and a big, I feel like, thing through the movie was electricity. Like, people were like, it hides in the shadows.
Right. Yeah. Don't use electricity.
Yeah. And so, like, she's completely off the grid. And this lady's name is Mirta, and she is like talking to Jamie like their son who has autism. He's possessed.
Yeah, like he wouldn't get out of the car.
Yeah, and I thought maybe she was meaning like just because, like, no, like, and like maybe she hadn't seen a special needs person before or whatnot, and so she goes back and forth. Yes, like you mentioned, he wouldn't get out of the car, so they're doing shifts. Well, Pedro falls asleep during the shift, and you get this like shadow that walks up to Jar's hair's, however you say his name, window, and just blood across it. And it had talked about, like, on the road trip earlier, Grandma was telling them, like, the 7 rules.
Yeah, it's like Grandma's character was there to be our help, really.
Yes,
Like, hey, audience, listen up.
And she had said one of them, like, you don't say the demon's name out loud, and that's all that Jer is repeating. Like, that's just all he's saying.
Yeah.
So we get a phone call from the ex-wife, Sabrina.
Yeah, she's
a little earlier on. Yeah, she's alive.
She survived
doing
that horrific head-on collision.
Yep. And she's like, I'm gonna find you and come get my kids.
Yeah.
So I skipped that part. So that is who we find was, walking up to the car. And
yes. Yeah.
She wakes up Grandma to take Santino. And just jumps out the window and disappears. Yeah,
like snatched the kid and...
Yeah, like just was gone.
You instantly are like, I don't like where this is going for Santino.
No. And this, like, I'm not. The other things did not bother me as much. Like, with the dogs and the
Yeah.
children, or the animals and the children, those, it's like, oh man, that's unfortunate. But this next scene,
Mm-hmm.
yuck. No.
Yeah.
Um, Jamie goes and finds Sabrina.
Yeah. Because they know she took off. And
Yes.
so they're like, go find her. You know, like he
Yes, and he
gets in the
has to
car.
find her because he's the one that's not scared that she'll kill the kids.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Mirta and Pedro go search for Uriel. And as this scene is rolling, like Jamie's driving, and it's night, and he's driving, and he's like turning his lights on and turning them off, and turning them on and turning them off. And he comes up on this person walking.
Yeah. And we
And
know it's
as,
Sabrina.
yes, and as we come up to it, she's holding her dead weight Santino, and she's
Almost
just,
like a guitar. Like he's
yeah,
like perpendicular to her.
yeah,
She's not carrying him like you'd carry a child. She's carrying him
correct,
like you're carrying like lumber.
yeah, and she's just eating his brains.
Yeah, like top of his head is gone, and she's
Yeah,
just like she's like cleaning out a pumpkin before jack-o'-lantern.
and it
Like,
almost looks like she had eaten the inside of the rest of his body because it was
mm-hmm.
just so limp
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like deflated looking that it was just like, ugh. And
yeah. She's
I
just
mean, Jamie doesn't believe what he sees, I don't think, because he
no, no.
stops and he's like, okay, I'm going to let her pass me and then I'm going to
Right?
look.
Yeah, it's
And
like
she's still doing the same thing.
just a snack for the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he crashes into her, um, runs her into a tree. She says something that I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
And then we switch back over to Mirta's house, where
Yeah,
the grandma is sitting inside by the fire.
right.
And
Because she's basically there tending to Jer,
yes, and
who of course being severely autistic, he's just there.
yeah, and so she's inside. He's still chilling in the car, and this person. Honestly, I didn't even recognize when this person walked in who it was because of the character change.
Yeah.
And this Jer walks in,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just completely normal, and he's like, "Grandma, I'm cold. Make me something to eat and drink."
And she's just like, uh-oh.
And he takes the blanket off of the couch and he puts it around him and walks, and it's just like,
it's chilling.
Oh.
It really was. I mean, just because if you would have told me that they actually had an autistic actor playing this role, I would have believed you.
100%.
I mean,
yes.
He did a great job. So to see him, quote unquote, snap out of it,
mm-hmm.
And as like, I mean, you just, like grandma's in trouble. Like,
yeah.
Because again, everybody else is scattered. Like Jamie's off with trying to find Sabrina, and Pedro and Mirta are looking for Uriel. And so, I mean, this is grandma's the last defense, and Mirta was right. Like, he's possessed.
Yeah, he is.
So back to Pedro and Mirta. Mirta said, if we can kill the rotten before the birth, we're fine. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the old vampire, like Dracula story. If you could kill the head vampire, anybody that he's turned will revert back to normal. So that's what they're going for. And she's also said that, kids love evil and evil loves kids. And so they end up at the schoolhouse that is, and again, we're like dark into night. Like this isn't like dusk or or dawn. This is like the darkest part of the evening. The schoolhouse is full of kids, like full of possessed kids.
Yeah.
So Pedro and Mirta are already on defense. Like, be careful, and these kids just lie incessantly to protect Uriel.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he at? Oh, he's in that room over there. Oh no, he's over in this room over here. Like,
yeah, like he's at my house. It's down the
yeah,
road. Blah blah
come on, I'll
blah.
take you
Like,
there. Like,
yeah, yeah,
and so Mirta's like, nope, they're gonna lie to protect him. So they know based on the amount of lies that he's here. They're trying to get us away from here, so he must be here. They end up finding him under the stage in like the gym auditorium kind of area. He's underneath the stage. And there's the only way you can kill him is with like these cleaning devices. And thankfully Mirta has them. So Pedro's trying to get to Uriel as he's like peeling back the boards to the auditorium. Just dead adults, like left and right. So he's trying to get Uriel out, but not just out, but like out of the stage area so that Mirta's devices can get to him. And of course, we saw Uriel. He's a very large individual. And so, Pedro, who we already have established multiple times over, is very fractured mentally. He's getting really impatient. The kids are still like, oh, we can help. There's an axe. Like, there, almost like Pedro thinks it's a moment of clarity with one of these kids.
Like, because I almost believed her. Like, because she's like crying, like he's gonna kill us. Get him, get him. Like,
she's like, there's an axe. There's an axe in a room over there. That'll help get him out. So Pedro's like, okay, takes off, and as soon as he gets into this room, it just like I've been had. Mm-hmm. Like he leaves Mirta behind. She's screaming like instantly as soon as he leaves the room. He realized, of course, he finds there's no axe there. Like the kids got it. So he circles back into the auditorium. They're dragging her dead body away as this kid is still just like it was the axe. Mm-hmm. It was the axe that they sent him for, wasn't it?
That's what they had killed her with. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking ahead.
Yeah, as they're dragging her body out of the auto, they smashed all the equipment.
Yes.
And of course, he has no idea how to use it anyway. Mm-hmm. So they're dragging her dead body out as one kid continues to just bury the axe. Like, just keeps hacking at her with this axe. Like, she's a goner. But, and so Pedro loses it. And he gets to Uriel, takes a piece of that equipment and just beats him to death with it. And just kind of crumbles in a heap of despair. Like, it's the last thing I could do, mm-hmm. To try. And it's not enough.
No.
The demon is born. We don't see it come out of Uriel, but he incubated long enough.
Yeah.
That he comes out, alive. It's in child form.
Yeah.
Just covered in blood. It might have been the fakest looking thing in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. This was the one that I was like, huh?
Ran out of the budget, I guess.
Yeah.
And just taunts him. Like, Pedro's there, just a broken man. Mm-hmm. And this demon, who easily could have just come and killed Pedro, just comes up and just wipes blood on his forehead. Like, you've been touched. We win, you lose.
Yep.
He walks out into the day. The children are all following him. Like, this is evil has been mm-hmm. born now. So Pedro's like, fine. I still got Jamie. I still got Mom. I still got Jair. He doesn't know about Santino yet.
Yeah.
So he gets back to the house, and where do we go from here?
We go to the little shed where they let Uriel's brother stay.
Yeah.
And Jamie, who was nice enough to let him stay, finds out that Uriel's brother killed the cleaner mm-hmm. days ago.
Yeah. This kid was there from the beginning. Like,
yeah. And he also ate the cleaner.
Yeah.
And so then Jamie goes, well, where's your mom? What'd you do to her? And he said the same thing that happened to your mom. And it's like, what?
Like, we haven't seen what happened to her mom.
Like, we don't, what happened to grandma? And then it flashes we switch to Pedro and Jair, and and Jer's eating. I mean, he is back to being, you know, his self with autism.
Yeah,
like,
he's
yeah,
eating ice cream.
yeah, and he starts choking on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like,
yeah, because he just like left the spoon in his mouth,
and it's like you can barely see it because it's blurred, but you know it's there. It's like, dude, Pedro, help your kid. Like,
right.
he's choking. And so he goes over, takes a spoon out. He's still choking. Reaches in his mouth to see what's in there. Nothing. Reaches in there a little bit further, and it's just blood.
Yeah.
Pouring out with just
hair.
I don't do hair.
Yeah. I don't either.
That
you do it more than I do.
So disgusting. Just globs of hair covered in blood.
Like a clogged drain.
Yeah. And then grandma's necklace.
Mm-hmm. That she'd been kind of fidgeting with the entire movie, so we knew what it was when we saw it. It wasn't like, what is that? No, you were aware once you saw that necklace. But yeah. Jared just ate grandma.
Yeah, and
just that eye shift too of Jared, like he
gotcha.
just kind of looks at Pedro like, haha, fool.
So Pedro walks outside where Jamie is, and he just collapses, and it just fades out from there.
Yeah, like that's the end of the movie. Like, nobody wins. Evil wins in this one.
Yeah,
and it's not even set up like, oh, like Evil won, but there'll be a sequel. Like, no, this is just pure defeat. Yeah, the cleaners didn't get to the rotten soon enough, and this is what happens.
Yep.
Really good movie. Like, I really did like this, despite despite the soft stomach. You know, if you've got a soft stomach, you'll be queasy in this one.
Yeah, don't watch it. But, I also felt like this movie was set up nice to be foreign, because when there were moments that you needed to watch, like mom eating the brain of her child, there was no dialogue.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I missed anything. Yeah.
And I really do appreciate how, because granted, foreign films don't do that on purpose because they make them for their home audience. Yes. But that is where a lot of people get, I think, distraught about subtitles, is like, how am I supposed to read it and watch it? But movies do a pretty good job. We don't think about it so much with American films because we don't have to read. But it's very rare that dialogue and action overlap.
Right.
And so, if there's dialogue, it's usually the camera is on the people talking, and that's what we're supposed to be focusing on. So we don't necessarily have to watch them talk because we can hear / read them talk. But action, typically there's not a whole lot of dialogue going on because it's action. And so, yeah, I agree with you. This movie did do a really solid job of leaving subtitles off the screen when you're supposed to be watching something.
Yeah. I appreciated that.
Yeah. You can catch this if you guys have Shudder, a Shudder subscription, or AMC Plus. AMC Plus includes Shudder. You guys can catch this film on Shudder. It just came out in the United States back in October, so it was a good movie. I really liked it. Let's get to the grading phase so we can actually officially put a seal of approval on this film. What do you grade it?
I'm giving this one an A+ because the gore was there, the plot was there. Even though I knew the dog was going to do something, it still scared me because the scene had kind of calmed a little bit, you thought, when the dog did that. And so I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I was just getting my hopes up, and then it's just like, boom. And it's like, oh, shoot, wasn't expecting that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm giving this an A+.
Yeah, I'm going to second that. Like, I don't hand out A+s very easily, but this movie impressed me. It surprised me, and and it deserves that recognition. I really, really enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
And critics nationwide have too. Looking at Wikipedia here, 97 critics, as the time of this Wikipedia article is written, 97 critics had rated it on Rotten Tomatoes, and 99% of them, gave it a positive review. So, it's a well done film for sure. That's up to 105 reviews with 98% positive. So if you like horror films, give this one a watch, because it's a good solid film.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes which I'm not saying it's nice that the good person doesn't win, but in a lot of horror movies, that someone that is good is going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're programmed for it.
Sometimes it is, it's a good change.
Yeah, I agree. So, you got any lessons from this movie?
Maybe just follow the rules.
I was going to say the same thing. If you didn't say it, I was going to.
For a reason.
Yeah, if you didn't say it, I was going to repeat it. Just if there's established rules for a certain situation that you're in, just follow them.
Yeah, just last week, all the time, and any teachers out there, you will understand this. Oh, let's keep all 4 of the legs of our chair on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I tell them, when I was in school, a girl was leaning back and she fell and bit through her tongue. I'm not telling you this just because I want you to do it. I'm telling you because it's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
You bump your head, and one of my kids, what'd they do? Wouldn't quit leaning. And I told them multiple times, usually I take their chairs away. Mm-hmm. Well, they were on their second warning, and it just, boom, went back, and they're crying. And I'm just like, this is why.
Standing over them, finger in their face. Why you listen to the rules.
It's really hard to feel bad for someone that doesn't listen to the rules.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously society has rules that sometimes seem artificial, superficial. Like, following that rule seems a little silly. Because sometimes people just put rules in place for their own benefit. But yeah, there are definitely times where rules apply because common sense, like you said, chairs have 4 legs, not 2. Bad things could happen on 2 legs, and I'll see your, I challenge your rule. But yeah, this movie in particular, there's clearly a set of rules that help minimize the effect of this demon, and they know the rules, but every opportunity they get, they break them.
Yep.
And it costs them, because now there's hell on earth. So way to go, Pedro.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. This was my pick. What do you have for your pick next week?
I'm gonna go with a pretty well-known one, but I've not seen Saw.
Yeah, Saw. The original Saw.
Yes.
There's 10 of them out now. We're gonna watch the OG.
This one came out in 2004, didn't it?
Yeah. Obviously you've heard of it. Do you know the story behind it?
No.
Okay, good. Then I'm not going to get into it. So yeah, just watch it. It's a fun ride for sure. Kind of jumps in on the torture porn avenue of things. This is one where, yes, there's a lot of violence in this one as well, but it's pretty incredible. Whereas watching what we just watched was like, oh, that's uncomfortable to watch. This one is almost like, oh, that's kind of fun. Look what you did there. So, it'll be fun. But I'm going to stop there because I don't want to unintentionally give something away. So, yeah, that wraps up another episode, ladies and gentlemen. We're about done with the horror films. We've just about covered all of them. No, not even close.
Just a few left.
Just a few. But yeah, we've got Christmas right around the horizon at the time of this recording. So 2 days before Christmas. Ooh. And we've taken times out of our pre-holiday schedules to record an episode for you.
Yes. So we hope you enjoy.
Yeah. And I still trying to figure out, I think I've got another movie franchise we could bring Ella in on, but I got to see if she's interested in even doing that. Okay. She's all for the screams. But the last couple have been like, hey, we're going to record. Not because she doesn't enjoy it, right. But because it's because my dad just told me I have to do something.
Yeah.
And every time I've been like, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like Courtney and I can record without you. It's fine. No. I've done every one of them. I'm like, all right, well then quit complaining. You had an out. So. But Saw will not be that film. The Saw franchise will not be that franchise that she comes in But we will be back next week to cover Saw, our first post-Christmas movie. The gift to you guys.
Yeah.
Social media-wise, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is where you can find us. Like, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. Comment down below. Any movies you guys want to see, let us know. We always like tips. And we've probably, well, of course, we've had Ella on, but we should try to get a non-Ella guest on at some point. So I think it'll be fun for us. But for another week of Deducation, I'm Mike.
And I'm Courtney.
And we'll see you guys after the holiday.
Bye.